This is Carson Edwards from the Boston Celtics, and you're listening to the Boiler Breakdown podcast hosted by Tanner Lee, Evan Webb, and Andrew Eiler.
And thank you to Carson Edwards, Boston Celtics guard, like always, for the introduction to another episode of the Boiler Breakdown. I'm Tanner Lee, along with Andrew Eiler and Evan Webb. We're here for a quick, action-packed episode tonight. We'll be recapping the Boilers' 80-72 grinded out victory over Penn State. A very ugly basketball at times, but we'll get into that. Purdue finally has a new defensive coordinator. We'll get into that. They hired Brad Lambert, a former defensive coordinator at Marshall. And then we'll talk about the legendary, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, Drew Brees, in what looked like his finale of his career last night. First thing, let's get right into hoops, boys. Good week for the Boilers last week.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I mean,
3-0. So technically 3-0.
Yeah, technically 3-0, 3 straight wins. They're rolling right now. It's fun to see these young guys mature and get better and better.
Yeah, they're growing up right before our eyes. I think we're starting to see some consistency, especially from the guys like Newman and Gillis, and even someone like Ivy, who's been playing better and better the more minutes he gets. He's definitely the project that we thought he was going to be. Obviously, he was a little, not sure fool's gold is the right terminology for the first part of the year, but I think we're starting to see kind of what probably a lot of people expected out of him.
I mean, Edie's done pretty well. It's just it's just hard going into the Big Ten as a freshman big guy, let alone anyone he's played for 3.5 years playing basketball, now going against getting beat up every night.
Sure. I was telling my parents yesterday, I think Ivy's got the ceiling out of all the freshmen.
Oh, yeah.
But I think a majority of them are going to be very good. I think Ivy, depending how many years he stays, and I know that's crazy to say, but I could see him getting good enough that he jumps early. Assuming he and Newman stay 4 years, they're going to be on the career scoring list, top 10.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, I mean, because Newman's technically a freshman, and he's averaging – well, actually, I mean, he's a free year, so he could be a freshman again next year if he really wanted to.
Correct.
I mean, he's averaging 10 points a game as a freshman. I mean, not many people do that, so he could average double digits for theoretically 5 years if he wanted to.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, it was nice of the IU star. I mean the Indy star today to reference Mason Gillis and Brandon Newman a little bit and kind of say they're the leaders of this young group. It was nice to see Brandon Newman get recognition for his play this week, Big Ten Freshman of the Week. Travion Williams, Big Ten Player of the Week. Man, he's I'm not trying to get away from the freshman conversation too much, but Trey's really taken over as the leader of this team, and he's getting consistent. That's what I like to see. 10 straight games at 10-plus points. Well, last year we'd see him go off for 30 against, 36 it was against Michigan, and then he'd have like the next 3 games 20 points combined out of the next 3 games. It's nice to see him getting consistent. Some
of those moves, I don't know. There was one where he had it on the block or high up on the block, and he took his time and he just beat a guy. Just beat him off the dribble and like 3 dribbles and was past him underneath, and then had a contested layup, and it was just like
there was one here that he was like getting doubled in the post. I thought he was going to throw it out, and then he just went did a little reverse and just went on the other side of the rim, and he's athletic for a big. I mean, I think he posted on his Instagram. I think it was that where he posted a picture. I think that when he first got to campus, or probably around that time when he was, 300 plus pounds. Now he's at like 253 or something like that. I mean, it's just crazy what he's done with his body, and I mean, the hard work's definitely paying off for him. I mean, he's definitely. I mean, it just kind of sucks that he's in the league with Kofi Coburn, Luka Garza, Trace Jackson Davis, and because he could probably. I mean, he's right now playing like a first team All Big Ten player, and there's no way he's going to make it. Just because of the talent that the league already has, down the post. But I mean, kudos to him. I mean, he's like you said, he's become a leader. You saw that a lot. I think during the IU game, he's more of a vocal leader at that point. He was kind of, I think Ivy had a bad pass or something. He kind of, walked with him down the court, and he's done some other things. I think it's just really cool to see him kind of grow up, both just in general, but also as a leader, as a team. Because I think that was something we definitely lacked last year as a team, even though we had some older guys. We just didn't have the leadership that we probably wanted. And I think it's nice to see guys like Trey and Eric really step into that role and really embrace it.
Absolutely. The one thing I wish he could improve on is his free throw shooting.
Yeah, it's like he's definitely spot. I mean, like Michigan State, he was awesome, and then the other day or yesterday he was not good.
It seems like every time he misses, it's short. Every single time. It seems like his legs just don't get into it. But it's just scary towards the end of the game. It's like, I almost don't want us to have him out there, but you have to because he's our best player and he's one of the smartest guys with the ball in his hands.
Yeah, and it's like, especially when a team's pressing, it's like just get him, 90 feet away from the ball at that point, just because I'd rather have them foul anybody else right now. I mean, as much as he is our best player, hopefully he can something he can improve on.
I'm glad you brought the press because we saw Penn State get aggressive, and Penn State's one of the most aggressive, if not the most aggressive team in the Big Ten. I mean,
they're playing football out there at times. It felt like.
Yeah, your tweet was awesome yesterday about a great form of tackling. And if you guys follow the Boiler Breakdown on Twitter, and if you don't, you should. It's at Boiler Break Pod, both Twitter and Instagram. But Evan's been taking over for the in-game tweeting the last handful of weeks. Doing an excellent job. He's funny. He's creative with it. And our followership's going way up the last few weeks on numbers. So it's all yours from now on. I hate to say, my friend, but no, I got a good kick out of going through them yesterday after the game and reading some of them. But they pressed hard. They were really bothering us, some of our veteran guards. But I'm thinking in my head, we're so deep. I would like maybe to switch up the lineup a little bit when the press comes. I think Ivy's aggressive with the ball. I think he could break it. Ethan Morton's one of our, I think, smarter guys with the ball. He's one of our better passers. Maybe we see some different lineups come in from now on when it gets late in the game with the press.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm having flashbacks to probably 2014, 2015 when we just couldn't. Or I guess probably 2015, 2016 team, we just couldn't beat a press to save our life, it felt like. I think Ivy's the perfect player to beat a press just because he's super aggressive. For whatever reason, I hate our inbounding when it comes to the press just because I feel like we always throw in the corner. And it's something you learn in elementary school is dunking the ball.
I called my dad yesterday. Come on, Isaiah. I've learned that in 4th grade.
Two extra defenders with the baseline and the sideline there. It's frustrating, but it's also
it's what the defense is designed.
Right,
it's designed to push you into the corner.
They're playing very good defense. They have scholarship players too. They practice that, so you take what the defense gives you, I guess. But it's a little frustrating, but it is what it is.
It was an ugly basketball game. But for as bad as Purdue shot the ball, they still scored 80 points back-to-back games.
Considering both teams, we were like
unbelievable. Well, because Purdue shot 25 free throws or 30 free throws or something. That was one of the more frustrating because Purdue was getting so many good looks and just didn't hit anything.
Yeah,
it felt like a game that Purdue was up by 6 or 7, but it should have been 20. Just because they missed so many threes. They started off 0 for 14.
Yeah. There was something. There was at one point both teams were combined almost 0 for 30 from 3. It was dumb. But I guess it's kind of a positive. I guess because we were getting open looks, and you take this. I guess I don't think Painter would be all that mad with some of the shots we're getting. They just weren't falling. That's going to happen. But thank God they started falling in the second half because that could have been because Penn State late in the first half was starting to hit, especially for mid-range for whatever reason, taking a step inside the 3-point line. All of a sudden they were hitting everything.
And then all the offensive rebounds. God.
Yeah. Comment here on Twitter, Caleb Gerald. Did you see Ivy out there 10 minutes after the game out there shooting? Did see Brian Newbert, a Golden Black, post that, and that was one of his most popular tweets. I think he had over 800 likes at one time, and love seeing guys put in the work, especially after a game like that, especially for a true freshman.
I think Brian's mentioned too. Even last year, there'd be games where Brandon and Gillis didn't even play a game, and they would be out there immediately after the game getting up shots, which I think it's paying off for him. That's another person we haven't really talked about is Gillis. He is an absolute stud. He's probably not going to fill it up point wise, but he just does everything else. He hustles. He's a great perimeter rebounder. When you get balls kind of launching off the rim.
I think he's more talented than Grady Eifert.
Yeah, he
plays so hard.
Yeah, but he's definitely Grady Eifert esque. I think Painter's even kind of alluded to that. And you just always talk about how everyone wants to be Carson Edwards, but no one wants to be Grady Eifert. But Grady Eifert won us a lot of games, especially his senior year.
And there's a lot more people who can be Grady Eifert than Carson Edwards.
Yes,
that's the big thing. But he's definitely earned his starting spot, and I don't see him losing it. He may not lose it until someone like First or Kaufman takes it, but
I know
it's going to be a battle to take that from him because he is. I mean, also like about him, especially him and Newman and Ivy too, is they just bring an attitude to this team that we didn't have last year. Just kind of a little, swagger to them. It's just something that we definitely needed last year, and it's good that they're out on the court.
Yeah, I think Gillis will go down by the time he leaves Purdue as one of the fan favorites. I really think that. So that's what's exciting. A lot of these guys they're so easy to cheer for. They're so likable.
I think you could tell that Painter really likes this team too. I mean, in those interviews, I think we shared the Raphael Davis one, and then he was on Dockage after the IU game the next day. I don't remember which one he said it in, but he talked about how this entire team just wants to get better, which seems like he kept hounding on the team last year. Of just that is like, oh, how many shots did you guys get up over the summer? Like how many hours were you guys in the gym? Like were you guys working like Carson? And that's you heard that so many times. I felt like last year, and this year he's talked about everybody's watching film, everybody's practicing. Like Ivy, somebody else was out there with Ivy, I thought, or someone mentioned that someone came out. I forget who it was. Came out with them at some point. I don't remember. It was I forget. It was Newman or Gillis or somebody. I don't know.
Thad Mooney with a comment on Facebook. Their attitude says they actually want to be on the floor. 100% correct. I think the past few years there's some people we couldn't have said that about, but I think Matt. I think you're right, Andrew. I think Matt likes his team a lot, likes their work ethic, and I think he likes the two upcoming recruiting classes too. Even though they're not to campus yet, I think he kind of sees that in these kids as well. And boy, three of them, at least the three from the state of Indiana, they're having great years so far. It's just really hard not to get really, really excited about.
I mean, you're potentially looking at 3 state championship teams because they're all different classes. You got Homestead with 4A with Lawyer, which that team's gonna be hard to beat from
undefeated. And
I mean, you got 2 Division one who's going to play in Division I next year with Luke Goody, who's going to Illinois, who's a really good shooter. You got Lawyer, who's just an absolute flamethrower from deep. Blackhawk Christian, I think are they 1A, 2A? I think they're 2A.
2A, I think.
Sounds right.
And then obviously Silver Creek with 3A with Kaufman, who's they haven't lost since he came back from injury. So,
and he's always he's 35, 15, and 8 or something.
Yeah, it's going to be a battle between him and First for Mr. Basketball. I mean, I think we can safely say Indiana University is not going to get Mr. Basketball because they only have a commit from the state of Indiana right now. So.
Yeah, I saw a joke as last second. Their commit. I think he lives.
in Cincinnati.
Yeah, his family's gonna move to Batesville. The last second, he's gonna get the award.
But it's exciting to look in the future of Purdue basketball. But in the future for Purdue basketball tomorrow night, travel to Columbus to play a red-hot Ohio State team. It's a team Purdue took down the first time they met, but that was back in December. E.J. Liddell, probably Ohio State's best player, at least their best scorer, was out that game. But they did have C.J. Walker. This time he must have had too much sauce, so he's not going to be playing tomorrow night. But I think Liddell's bigger for them anyways than Walker.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough one for the Boilers tomorrow night. I don't know what the spread is on the game, but this is a venue that has not – is it 4-point underdogs for Purdue?
That was what I saw. Right. Yeah, +4.
This is not a venue that's been kind to Purdue in the past.
Discount Furniture Arena?
Yeah, Value City. Yep.
Yeah, I'm seeing 4-point underdog. Yeah, they're a good team. They took down Illinois.
Yep. Oh, and Towns is. Did he ever? I don't know if he was even played yet, but
he had not played yet.
Yeah, so he's playing.
Yeah. So they're a different team than they were in December.
Yeah.
I'd say Purdue's playing better than they were in December. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that was Ivy's first game back, so he was just kind of getting the swing of things. I mean, that was. Hunter's only a few games back for Hunter, I think, at that point. So I think this team's definitely gelling a lot more, and Painter's starting to figure out his lineups and what he wants to do. Which is another thing too. Is there's so many guys that we like on this team and that we want to see on the court. It kind of sucks because some of them just aren't getting playing time. But it is what it is. It's part of the game. You can only play 5 guys at a time. But yeah, tomorrow's gonna be tough. I don't feel good about it. But there's no shame in losing to a good team like that.
I mean, two great chances to get ranked wins over really good opponents at Ohio State tomorrow, Michigan at home on Friday, the only matchup with Michigan. And we're already done with quite a few teams. After tomorrow night, we'll only have 4 road games remaining, 7 home games. So getting road games out.
And with being a young team, the fact that we started 5-3 like this, I think we've definitely earned some wiggle room for, if we slip up against, if we go on a little 2-game skid here, but we got some good wins so far.
I can't see Purdue going 0-2 in the next 2 games between at Ohio State and then home against number 7 Michigan. I don't think that's anything that's going to be like, oh boy, this.
No, yeah. I think you definitely allowed, because we've won at Michigan State, won at Indiana. I think those are definitely 2 wins that could have been probably coin flip start of the year. That the fact that they went in our favor, I think that we've definitely earned some. We can afford a few more losses than if we had lost those.
Hopefully, there's a home game against Nebraska rescheduled.
Hopefully, I would take a 1-on-1 split this week and run right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm worried about a layoff between Friday and clear to next Saturday of Minnesota, because I don't know if that Nebraska game's going to happen. You look in the Big Ten right now, Nebraska's postponed both their games this week. Michigan State
coach has COVID. I think I read somewhere that
11
players. That's ridiculous.
Michigan State's postponed both their games this week already. So
is Purdue going to do?
The Big Ten might have to reshuffle the whole schedule soon.
Would Purdue, do you think, allow? Like, so didn't Maryland play like a D2 school last week?
You can schedule a non-con game.
Notre
Dame was supposed to do that tonight against, I want to say, Howard.
It's supposed to be Howard, yeah.
But they got canceled.
That, yeah. They pushed it to next year. But that was something that I know that what the gold standard little kind of behind the scenes thing that the team's been doing. They even talked about, like, if something gets canceled, they've got 2 or 3 teams that could call on a moment's notice and say, hey, they can call tonight and say, hey, we want to play a game Wednesday if the game got canceled tomorrow or something like that. So I think
the local teams, kind of like the local windy teams,
probably that, or maybe another IPF or I guess Purdue Fort Wayne, or Ball State maybe. I don't know what the MAC's doing.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because the Big Ten might be back up against core and have to do something where I think Brad Underwood said today, our schedule in a week or 2 might look completely different than it does now.
Yeah. So, I know we kind of talked about it in the last pod we did, like just the whole NCAA as a whole, like with the tournament. So you look at, like we mentioned, Villanova, who hadn't played in like a month, but they're still ranked top 5, top 10. It's like, man, what do you do when the selection committee gets together and sees a team that has all these way more losses than the other team, because the team played 20% less games. So
what's your gut feeling this week for 2 games? 2-0, 1-1, or
0-2? Go for it.
My gut says 0-2.
I think 0-2. I think just the team is they're kind of ahead of schedule, and this is kind of one that, like, maybe they split next year. They get a little more experience, and they're kind of a little further along. But I don't know. I think Ivy's had his really flashes, but he's still shooting like 20%. I feel like I feel like he's due to go like 4 for 6 from 3 and just go off for like 25 points.
Thad Mooney on Facebook says 2-0. I like your optimism. I like
Trevion Williams going to eat Hunter Dickinson's lunch in a week.
I'm going to split the difference. I probably should say 0-2, but I'm going 1-1. I think Purdue gets a hard-fought loss tomorrow night, but then somehow they get the W over Michigan Friday night.
Okay. We played them tough last year. I'm trying to think who all.
We played them tough once. The second game was garbage.
Yes, we played them tough once.
I guess Trey likes going against those Michigan schools.
I guess Michigan doesn't have Xavier Simpson anymore, and I feel like
or Teskey.
Yeah. Stupid hook shots in the lane. With the game at Michigan was when we had Trey's hero game and Isaiah Thompson. That was kind of the emergence of him, where he was our savior for a little bit until Trey just went off. But you think Michigan over Ohio State is the
win?
Okay,
I do.
I would go the opposite. I feel like maybe we're a bit better matchup with Ohio State. It also could be because we beat them once, and I just feel more confident about that game.
Yeah, I hate playing in that building. I don't care if there's. Well, let's be honest. It's never sold out, even when they're number 1 in the country. They don't sell the building out because they just don't care. But I don't know. I could be way off, but like I said, I'd take 1 of 2 and run. I'd be perfectly happy with that this week. Tough week.
Yeah.
Yep. What I would take right now is some Mad Mush pizza.
Oh man, I'm hungry.
Awesome segue. Brought to you by Mad Mushroom, serving Boilermakers since 1993 and sponsored the Boiler Breakdown podcast. Mad Mushroom is located in the heart of West Lafayette and is well known as the home of the original cheese stick. But whenever we like to visit, we like to sit down, have a nice cold beer while trying their latest pizza of the month, which is, and I had it up and then I exited out of it. Professional here. Is the so the January pizza of the month is the keto-friendly crustless pizza bowl. It's our traditional pizza sauce with your choice of up to 3 toppings covered in mozzarella cheese and baked together in a bowl. Crustless pizza bowl is available in 2 sizes and starts at only $9.99. But next time you're in town, stop by and tell them Boiler Breakdown sent you for $5 off any order over $20. And any Boiler Breakdown listener can also use the coupon code BREAK5, that's all caps, BREAK, number 5, to claim your discount online at madmushroom.com. Mad Mushroom, feed your head.
I saw today on Twitter, what's the grad transfer from Western Kentucky? His name Wirfs? Is it Wirfs? Tristan,
offensive lineman,
not Wirfs. He plays in the NFL.
Witt.
Yeah, I was thinking Tristan Wirfs. He played in the NFL from Iowa. He was asking followers what are some places he needs to check out and eat. And Jay Wood, who also follows us on Twitter on the Boiler Breakdown, one of his suggestions was Mad Mushroom pizza and cheese sticks. So. Absolutely.
Did you give him the Boiler Breakdown code, Tanner?
Oh, I should have.
It's not too late. That's where you were going with this.
Not too late. I blew it. Okay, I'll do that after the show. So good thinking. But sticking with football, the long search that went a week, if not a week and a half, to 2 weeks longer than I think we thought would, for Purdue's next defense coordinator has come to a close. Purdue has hired Brad Lambert, he's going to be the co-defense coordinator and linebackers coach for Purdue. And a lot of people get confused by the co-defense coordinator title. Well, Anthony Poindexter has been the co-defense coordinator title since he's been at Purdue. As on the flip side, on offense, you got Brian Brom and Jamarcus Shepard have been co-offensive coordinators since they've been at Purdue, even though Jeff calls the plays. And it sounds like Jeff's got to be more hands-on with the defense than ever before going into this year.
Does that mean he pulls back on offense and gives more to Brian, or is he just now taking a bigger role in everything?
I bet he just takes a bigger role in everything. It's wishful thinking if he let, but maybe, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I mean, this is a retooled staff on defense except Anthony Poindexter. I mean, you have Mark Hagan now, defensive line coach, which I'm so excited about that hire. Everything I read, he's a great recruiter. You know, he was at Purdue. I thought he was only at Purdue from 2000 to 2008. I didn't realize it was from 2000 to 2010. So he was at Purdue a really long time, knows the culture. He's an Indiana guy. He went to Carmel. Indiana.
Yeah, played for Bill Mallory at IU.
So he knows the high schools. He knows a lot of the coaches. I think he's going to be a big asset. And then also, I think since we last recorded, the Boilers signed Ron English as their cornerbacks coach. He's a former Eastern Michigan head coach, and he was a defensive assistant for Florida lately. So he's been another guy with head coaching experience, another guy that's a good recruiter. I don't know a ton about Lambert. I do know Marshall's defense was really good last year, a lot better than I thought. They gave up 13 points per game. I think they had the 4th best rush defense in the nation, the 11th best passing defense. He does run primarily a 3-4 defense, so similar to Diaco, but hopefully he blitzes a little more.
I was reading somewhere that I think it might have been someone on the message board says that a lot of times he'll have sometimes even the ends stand up, which we never saw this last year. But sometimes they'll also bring a 4th guy down, whether that's, you know, a linebacker who starts on the line, then hops, you know, jumps off last minute or last second before the ball snapped, or a linebacker who comes up to the line last second. So it'll be interesting. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about defensive, you know, schemes. So I'll just let the experts do what they do and have trust.
I did see. I watched a couple of YouTube videos on him this afternoon. Just quick interviews. He seems like a fun, nice guy. Doesn't seem as quirky and weird as Bob Diaco. I mean, Lambert doesn't have the splash. I guess Diaco is kind of a big name just because he had been at Notre Dame, he had been at Nebraska. So Lambert doesn't have that because he's been at Marshall. He was the head coach at Charlotte, which his record wasn't good there. But people have to understand that was Charlotte. Like they built the program.
He started it. Yeah, he started the program.
So I mean, that's pretty tough to win there. It takes a long time, and now they're pretty decent.
Sounded like also with when he was at Marshall. So Marshall's replacing their head coach, and he was the only internal candidate. And it sounded like the players really wanted him to get the job. So I mean, if the players like him, I mean, he's a little different fit. I mean, if you're coming from where it sounds like Diaco and the coaches or the players, there's some kind of disconnect. So kind of having a player's coach or someone that clearly relates to his team, not even just the defense. I mean, there was an offensive lineman or something like that they talked about that was lobbying for him. So it's not even his position group or side of the ball. Something to be said for that, I think.
And it makes sense the timing now because he was one of the 3 finalists for that Marshall head coaching vacancy, didn't get it, and then Purdue announces hiring. So that's what we were waiting for, waiting to see. It'd be interesting if he got that job, who Purdue's backup plan was.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I wonder just who – I don't know if you want to know, actually, because somebody – where was he on the list 3 weeks ago?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say he probably wasn't candidate A, but I could be wrong. I don't know. We'll never know. But his name was getting thrown out there a little bit the past week and a half. The more I read about it, the more I like it. But I'm easily persuaded when it comes to hires. But one thing I do really like is Hagan and English came on board before the deal was officially done. So they must think highly of him. I mean, those are 2 guys I thought if Purdue was getting them on staff, they would be defense coordinators themselves.
I remember we talked about this.
You texted us the Hagan, whenever they announced it, and we all thought at first it was the D defensive coordinator. Like, oh wait, that's his D line coach. Like, okay, that's even better.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think we're really excited about this staff. Now, hopefully, we can get some grad transfer on the defensive side of the ball, more of them that we already have. So it'll be interesting to see what comes of it.
It'll be interesting too. Tomorrow, classes start for the next semester at Purdue, and so we should know tomorrow if Neal or Watson are back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, kind of forgot about those.
And the opt-outs too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it sounds to me like Neal's probably not going to come back, which I'm surprised he hadn't announced anything yet because I thought it was kind of foregone conclusion that he was gone.
Yeah.
But it sounds like Watts might be coming back.
Which would be huge.
Yes, it would.
Need the depth in the middle on the defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So we should know all that. And Wan'Dale Robinson, we kind of hinted on that last week. He ended up going to Kentucky. So
back home.
Got our hopes up falsely again.
He's probably going to show up at the University of Lexington in a new Corvette in a week or so, and he just had a vacation. That's where he found it in Florida, I think. Yeah,
I will say at least it wasn't up north with Boat Boy. That was
weird. I did not understand that at all. That was weird. The fact that he was saying he wanted to go home because his mom has had with COVID. It's like I don't know. I'm okay at geography, but I have no idea how close Minneapolis is compared to Lincoln, Nebraska, to wherever.
Someone posted, and it was like Lincoln to Lexington, like 745 miles, and it was like Minneapolis to Lexington, 760 miles or something. Like they're essentially the same.
Yeah,
I thought Andrew put it good. He's like, oh my gosh, he might go from bad and Frost to even worse.
Yeah. Like he could have hit the 2 worst coaches in like college football for his career.
Yep.
Yeah, period.
So exciting stuff with the staff. Staff's complete now. Probably be pretty slow football news here going forward until spring ball. Assuming spring ball can happen like normal, I don't know what's going to look like.
Well, but we might announced, not college, but I think they just announced that the combine's not even happening, which sucks for someone like Rondale.
It does. My question is, will pro days happen?
I can't imagine they would. Yeah. I mean,
what did Tyler? I thought there was something Tyler Coyle, the grad transfer who he left and he just played in some Senior Bowl.
Yes, he did.
And there was supposed to be a combine or something like that or workouts. and they were going to do something virtual for those players, I think, like a workout, but not all there with coaches. I mean, something taped, I guess. I don't know.
Thieneman said today in his extra interview on Golden Black that he's training down in Florida and hoping to participate in Purdue's Pro Day. That's what he said, but I don't know. Maybe it's some sort of virtual Pro Day. But, yeah, the Combine, like you said, it's going to be virtual, so all questions and testing virtually and no workouts. That could push Rondell to the second round.
Yeah, I mean, I think –
maybe you already hired an agent. I was like, wait, he's going to show up at class tomorrow.
Oh, wouldn't that be something?
I think I remember seeing footage from Marcus Bailey's workout from last year's – because he wasn't invited to the Combine. I don't think he was. So I bet it's going to be just a lot of that, just these guys going to wherever they're training at and doing the workouts there, which
– Gotta be weird.
Sucks, but –
yeah.
So you mean we can't go hang out down at the Circle and just watch for Rondell Moore followed by his entourage of coaches?
Nope.
Jerry Jones.
that was a fun experience.
Yeah,
a couple years ago when we did that. So, but yeah, it'll probably be slow football news. Maybe we'll get some grad transfers here and there. But if any Purdue football news does come up, we'll be on it here on the Boiler Breakdown on our social media accounts, which you can follow us at Boiler Break Pod, or of course on here on our weekly podcast. We'll try to keep you up to date with the latest breaking news. But the Boiler Breakdown podcast is also brought to you by Webb's Family Pharmacy. Webb's Family Pharmacy is an independently owned community pharmacy with stores located in Rochester, Akron, and North Manchester, Indiana. Webb's is happy to announce that they're providing flu shots by appointment right in your car. Simply call to set an appointment, and their friendly and caring staff will be happy to help you. For all of your high-quality medical equipment, supplies, and pharmacy services, check out www.webrx.com or give them a call. Webb's Family Pharmacy, the professional pharmacy with a hometown touch. Boiler owned and operated, and they were doing a really cool thing today on Instagram. Ask the pharmacist, ask your pharmacist, I believe it was called, and it's got Evan's dad, Harry Webb, the owner, on there. And I thought it was really neat. I checked out some of their things. A lot of them were COVID-19 related about the vaccine, and there's questions and then a really in-depth answer. So go check that out on Instagram at Webb's Family Pharmacy. Really highly recommend you give them a follow on social media. All right, let's wrap up the show on more of a somber note. And Drew Brees, legendary quarterback, of course, for Purdue, and then for both the San Diego Chargers and more notably the New Orleans Saints in the NFL, probably played his last career game last night. It sure looked like it after the game with him going to the tunnel, kind of looking back once more, and then in the post game with him and Tom Brady playing catch with his kids and kind of embracing after the game. That was rough to watch at times, for sure.
I don't think he was healthy.
No.
I mean, 11 broken ribs or whatever it was and a punctured lung 3 months ago. I mean, I don't know. It'd be a tough way to go out.
Certainly will. I mean, and like Peyton Manning, I referred to his season a lot to Peyton Manning's in 2015, even though Drew Brees had a better season than Peyton did, especially statistic-wise, but Peyton did win the Super Bowl, but he had a better defense. And he just was a game manager at the end. He knew how to get him in the right plays and right situations. But they both got injured, and you just don't heal when you're in your 40s like you did when you're in your 30s.
No. Especially during the season. If it's one thing, if it happens, you have all off season to do it, which still you don't probably heal as quickly as you did, obviously, when you're 27. But yeah, I thought that was a game. I was hoping I thought the Saints could win. I mean, they'd beaten them twice already. I guess it is hard to beat a team 3 times, especially in the NFL. The Saints just couldn't get their offense going. Obviously, Brees threw 3 picks. Wasn't all his fault.
No.
Couldn't get the run game going. Costly turnovers.
They missed Taysom Hill. I mean, that Jared Cook fumble completely flipped the game where he had a first down. They were on their way to scoring, going up 14 most likely. And Cook fumbles. Tampa returns it a long way and scores a touchdown and ties the game. It was at least a 10-point swing.
The returner getting hurt was big too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because his 2 punt returns. I mean, the second one was called back, but yeah.
In the Saints, just the last 5 years have had some heartbreakers in the playoffs. It's like it almost has become a part of their culture to just find ways to lose games in the playoffs.
This one wasn't as bad as this one was. I mean, the 4 turnovers was bad, but
for whatever reason, I completely or it just spaced about the whole Rams.
That was the worst.
Like I just keep going back to the Minneapolis Miracle because it was just such a
bizarre
tackle. Yeah. But I just completely forgot about the whole one of the worst calls in NFL history.
The worst no call.
Yeah, worst no call, I should say. Yeah. It just sucks because I feel like a lot of those games I could be just misremembering, but I feel like a lot of those games Brees got them the lead, and then the defense just couldn't get it done, which sucks because he can't do anything about that. But I mean, at least I'm glad he got the one Super Bowl. He definitely deserved more, but yeah, it just kind of sucks.
What sucked against that Rams was, of course, they throw the flag, then they're headed to the Super Bowl. But then Drew threw a pick against the Rams, and then the Rams beat him in overtime. That one stunned the worst.
Yeah,
because they were so close. Of course, they made another NFC Championship, which a lot of people forget was Drew's first year in New Orleans. They overachieved that year. They weren't that good, and then they got to the NFC and they ran to get up against Webby's Chicago Bears, who were easily the better team.
I mean, that defense was stupid. I mean, that defense carried that team.
And special teams.
Yeah, with Devin Hester, and he had Rex Grossman at quarterback, the worst starting quarterback in the Super Bowl history. But yeah, that team was definitely way in over their head. That was a hard game to watch, just because I love both teams, and especially being younger at the time. It was. I think I was wearing a Drew Brees jersey with a Bears shirt underneath it, and I just what team was doing better, that's the one I wore.
That's one thing about him retiring. I don't have to worry about anymore. It only happened 2 times. Was the Broncos playing the Saints with Drew at quarterback. I hated that because, of course, I rooted for the Broncos, but I didn't want them to kill Drew.
Right.
They got the best of them both times. This year they played, but Taysom Hill was the quarterback, and Hinton was the quarterback for the Broncos because they had no quarterback room that week. Kendall Hinton. So that was fun, but it was tough to watch last night. I hated them panning to sidelines. He was just so down and depressed, you could tell. And I had a Chuck earlier tonight. I did a podcast, my other podcast with one of our friends. He goes, he didn't look like that loss bothered him too much. I'm like, come on. Just because he's a family man first and a dad first after the game, he's such a competitor. That's going to be eating at him for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I know. It almost made me think, like, maybe he comes back one more year, because that was such a bad way to end.
I know, but
I mean, if he in 6 months, if he's just like, I feel great. But
he's going to feel better in the offseason than during the season, but
I mean, go the Brett Favre route. Didn't Brett Favre practice 1 day a week when he came back his last year? I think he was doing nothing.
A lot of times the veterans have modified schedules, but it could be worse. Look at Dan Marino's last game; they lost 63-7 to the Jaguars in the playoffs.
Did you tell your co-host that one too?
He brought it up himself. So, and Marino only made one Super Bowl like Brees, but Brees won his. Marino lost his.
Yeah.
So at least Drew won it, but I feel like when you look back, you're like, he should have at least made more than one. But Colt fans look like that at Peyton Manning at his time in Indy. He should have won more than one. So
kind of similar with Manning, is just he just didn't have a good defense, and he never really had the best defense in Indy.
Correct. Couldn't beat the Patriots in New England.
No.
For a lot of those years.
Which no one really could, so it can't really.
Nope.
It is what it is.
I read it. I forget where it was. It was a Saints blog or Saints, where they went through. This was a couple weeks ago. How basically they were even saying this is the Saints' best chance because of. I mean, it's Brees most likely, but then there's a bunch of their big names that are going to get too expensive. Kamara is going to be coming out. Cam Jordan. I mean, they're going to lose a decent number of guys just because they can't keep them all. So this was. And if they're losing guys, and then Brees isn't going to come back for one more year if the team isn't going to be a Super Bowl contender.
I wouldn't be shocked if next year Sean Payton's last year in New Orleans. I don't see them being that good next year, depending on who's their quarterback. And if they miss the playoffs, then I think maybe he's gone.
Yeah.
Good comment by Thad Mooney on Facebook here. Laces out Dan, friend of Dan Marino and Ace Ventura. Very good.
That's a great one.
Very good. But, it's tough. I mean, we were all kind of chatting. I mean, I know you guys said you remember watching Drew when you guys were 7 years old. My first Purdue game I ever attended, I was 6 years old. It was against Rice. It was Drew Brees' first career start.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at home against Rice. He had started the week before in the Pigskin Classic against USC, but against Rice. And then I didn't go to a game in '99. But then when I was 8, I went to 3 games during the Rose Bowl year and saw him beat Minnesota. Saw the pass or the catch, I should say, against Seth Morales, Holy Toledo against Ohio State, and then him clinch the bucket to go to the Rose Bowl against Indiana. So he was my second Purdue football jersey. I know both of you said he was your first.
Yeah.
I had a Billy Dickin before him, but I don't remember Billy Dickin. But just very tough last night to watch. I did not enjoy particularly the last 4 minutes.
I was hoping this was going to be like a
fairy tale ending.
Fairy tale ending. Have him go out. You know.
I'm convinced only Denver Bronco quarterback get fairy tale endings with LA and Manning. I know I'm just joshing now, but
if Tom Brady winning the Super Bowl this year gets him to retire, would you take that?
Yes. And it wouldn't be Patrick Mahomes winning it, so I think that's the only way Brady retires is if they win. Then he possibly retires. If not, I think he's back next year.
I mean, he didn't look great last night either. I mean, he looked better.
He just didn't make any mistakes.
Yeah, he didn't look great either. I mean, they actually just ball more than like 6 yards downfield.
It's catching up to him, but it's not catching up to him. He stayed pretty much healthy. I mean, he hasn't been hurt, and Breeze got hurt, and Big Ben's been hurt, and Rivers hadn't been hurt, but his arm's done. It's strange because we're seeing all these guys maybe retiring at the same time, all future Hall of Famers. I don't think we'll ever see that again in the NFL from a timing standpoint.
No. It was just during the game I was just thinking back to, like, kind of mentioned Tan, like he was my first jersey. Really, my first really football memory is Breeze. I remember going to a game. I couldn't even tell you who the game was against. I just know after the game I went to the area where you can high five players as I walk through, and was wearing my Breeze jersey. I was probably 6 or probably 7 or 8 at the time, and got a high five. And I'm not sure who was more excited, me or my dad at the time. I mean, he's my first favorite football player, and just the fact. I think what is really cool is just what an ambassador he's been to Purdue.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you go through, and it's really been nonstop. It's not like he's only been here, when things are good. I mean, he donated a crap ton of money when things were awful. When he had every right to kind of distance himself from a program in, disarray under the Hazel years or even part of the Hope years. He never, shied away from his love of Purdue. And, I completely even forgot, the whole thing with the wooden jersey that he was a part of.
Yep.
Like
him and Big O from Bruno's.
Yeah,
yep.
That was awesome. Him, having pictures of, I think it was of John Wooden, like in his locker and talking about it with the press. And I mean, you really couldn't have asked for any, better press and from a good guy than Drew. It was, pretty cool. I know Tanner, you and I got to go to his book signing when that came out. That was cool. You could tell he was exhausted.
I was going to say, poor guy looked just freaking exhausted.
Probably stop, and it was. I mean, we were in high school at the time. I think. You were getting ready. I was
going into my freshman year. Yep.
Yeah,
that was neat.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, again, it was kind of like he was a hero of all of ours.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that we got to meet him was pretty cool.
Yeah, I was starstruck. I mean, you weren't really supposed to talk anyways because they wanted the line to move, but I could have got a word out if I wanted to.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to say anything, but it just sucks because it's selfishly it kind of makes me feel a little older. I know we're not that old, but just like seeing it's like, oh crap, the guys that we grew up idolizing is now the old man retiring. It's like, crap. Now what?
It's just crazy to think back and that he's played this whole entire time. It's wild. I mean,
it never really dipped. Really, I mean, I think he's just gotten better every year. It felt like, and
he started off a little rocky in San Diego, but then he had his. I think he had a really good year, and then he got hurt right at the end, and they drafted Rivers.
He got hurt against Denver. He was diving for that fumble with his arm extended, and
last game of the year, right?
He pretty much tore that thing. Yeah, because if he doesn't get hurt, San Diego would have been in a really interesting predicament. Because if you remember right, when he got to San Diego first, he drafted. He didn't start right away. Doug Flutie was a starter. Mm-hmm. He played backup for his first year.
Yep.
So,
and then he kind of struggled even when he
did.
Yeah.
He had a nice running back in LaDainian Tomlinson. That helped out a lot.
Yeah. It's just weird that
Antonio Gates.
Really weird, but it's just cool that I feel like as Purdue fans we don't get superstars like in the NFL or even the NBA like some of these other schools do, and the fact that it was a sub 6 foot quarterback, who
Nobody
basically
wanted.
who no one wanted out of high school because of knee injuries, and now would be a first round pick, but he slipped to the second round just because probably because of the height. I think they mentioned on the broadcast.
Second pick, yep.
Yeah, to mention the broadcast, he had to stand on his toes to reach 6 foot, and can't see over the line, that whole thing. And when you see guys, but then you see guys, even nowadays like Sam Darnold and the typical model for an NFL quarterback, and they bust. And you have guys like Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, these non-conventional starting quarterback that just tear it up. And you don't get a lot of them all the time, but they always seem to prove everybody wrong. And it's been pretty cool to have Brees, be ours, and kind of we saw him first sort of thing, and he's always just been really special to Purdue.
Yeah, thankfully he chose us over Kentucky and Brown. Kind of those are the three schools it came down to. His childhood program he wanted to play for was A&M, but they didn't. Texas A&M, but they didn't want him. But yeah, my dad always liked to say in college, I mean, he thought Drew would be a backup NFL quarterback. He didn't think he could be a starter. If he was, he wouldn't be near as the caliber he turned it. And he always thought, just looking at him in college, that Kyle Orton was going to be the better pro because Kyle had the bullet arm and the
bigger body and
the prototypical NFL quarterback.
But it didn't turn out that way. So
I mean, because Brees just became the most accurate passer in NFL history. I mean, he threw a ton of picks at Purdue, but he also threw the ball 60 times.
Exactly. 81 against Wisconsin. I mean, he did things when he came to the Big Ten. He and Taylor and Chaney basketball on grass, they just transformed the Big Ten into something, or the air show into something Big Ten hadn't seen before. So,
but now everybody tries to model.
Stuff.
Everyone's
Exactly.
Now. But it's just I remember he's just such a cerebral player too. I think it was a couple years ago they showed him like pregame. He was the only one on the field, and he was literally like playing the game out in his head, like doing reads with no one else on the field. It's just a different level of work ethic to do. I mean, to do it at that level, and I'm sure other guys do something similar, but it just shows that it just takes so much to succeed for that long too. That's just something crazy too. It's like, man, he got drafted in 2001. It's like, holy crap.
No, that's crazy.
9 years old when he got drafted.
20 years ago.
I was going on 9, and you guys were already 9, but it's nuts. It's
going to be weird, assuming last night was the end. It's going to be weird not seeing him out there, but he will be on our TV sets as it looks like he's going to be working for NBC with their Notre Dame games, I think as a sideline analyst, and then in studio during the Sunday Night Football. I think the plans to eventually have him replace Chris Collinsworth, and Tirico will replace Al Michaels, but that's going to take a few years to have that transition happen. But the cool thing about him doing Notre Dame games next year is the second Notre Dame home game on the schedule is Purdue. So that'd be very interesting.
To hide his affinity for the Boilers.
Mm-hmm.
Second game. I feel like he's going. This is going to be something where he's going to get in trouble for NBC for being a homer in one way or another.
He'll be professional, but he won't be able to hide it all the way.
No.
I mean, So
there'll be something happens like the last second Purdue win. Damn well he's going to be jumping up and down the sidelines.
Probably last second after the game, but he's going to be smiling.
You never know.
We're doing those guys.
Notre Dame, the number 4 team in the country, whatever.
Somebody's got to upset them at home. They got the longest home win streak.
And Purdue just won 2 games.
Hey, man, we just talked about a whole new defense. It's a whole new season. I know. That's probably reaching for
Is Rondell going back too? Yeah.
Yeah, Notre Dame's got a new quarterback, but it's one we're familiar with. And Jack Cohn, Wisconsin transfer, is probably going to be their starter. I don't know. They probably have 2 other 5-stars sitting on the bench. So who knows? But So, Andrew, why don't you hit us up with that last sponsor read, and we'll close things out here.
Yes, sir. The Boiler Breakdown podcast is brought to you by Sroufe Landscaping. Sroufe Landscaping has been in business for over 50 years and can handle all of your landscaping needs, including landscape design, maintenance, irrigation, hardscaping, fall cleanup, and they are licensed lawn applicators. Contact them today for all of your landscaping needs at 574-223-2769. Sroufe Landscaping, designed with you in mind.
Also boiler owned and operated. So
just saw something on Twitter, the somber note, but the 76ers waived Dakota Mathias, which is stupid. Now I can go back to hating them.
Man, no more Midwestern Cowboy.
He was doing well too, so I thought.
Hopefully he pops up somewhere else. But does that mean he just goes back down to their D-League team? Because
I don't know. I
G
think
League team,
Can he sign a contract somewhere else?
So
I thought he had a 2-way deal with them, but
Yeah.
if he's waived out of his contract, that avoids everything.
What was it? Like I remember, I think Chris Foreman or maybe, I don't know, maybe Brian Newber, somebody put up about if he lasts so many days on a roster, then he's like guaranteed part of the pension or a paycheck or something. And I don't know if he was close or if he can stick around somehow. If he get, or like Yogi Ferrell, I mean, he got like a 10-day contract a couple years ago, and then like from the G League and with the Mavs, and then lit it up and
forgot about that.
Yeah, and then I think he got like a deal, like a 1 or 2 year deal after it.
It was interesting the other day, not to go off a tangent or take up too much more time, but it was interesting when Painter talked about, I think it was on the Docket show about guys in the pros, and he was, or maybe it was on Rafe Davis's podcast. He said Carl Landry's the best pro he's had, and I got to think about it. He's right.
He's right, which is kind of sad because we just haven't had.
He said each one's getting there.
Yeah, he's close, but except he's not even playing this year for the Suns. They're not playing him. But Landry was another Purdue guy who was a first pick in the second round. He was picked by the Sonics then and traded to the Rockets, and then he bounced around to a bunch of different teams. But he was pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
So, closing thoughts from either one of you.
I mean, let's turn this 3 wins into 4 wins. Why not? I could
not?
go in 2, but why not?
Sweep the Buckeyes.
I'd be okay watching Chris Holtman. Had a couple tears.
I'd be all for beating the Big Ten football powers. One of them's a power. One of them's almost like a wannabe power anymore with khaki pants. But that's a story for another day. But let's boil it up, hammer down, beat the Buckeyes and the Wolverines.
Boil up.